Elizabeth Klarer Abductions, and Derrick Engebreston. Tales of hauntings, murder, and scary mysteries. Every week, Twisted Twos dives into a pair of uniquely terrifying true stories that are worthy of a more in-depth look. For this week, we focus on the unusual alien abduction of Elizabeth Klarer and the disappearance of Derrick Engebreston. Get ready for Scary Mysteries, Twisted Twos. Number 1. Elizabeth Klarer Abductions. A meteorologist, accomplished musician, and once pilot during World War II, South African native Elizabeth Klarer, on paper, seemed like the last person who would claim to be abducted by aliens. Klarer, a member of a wealthy family in South Africa, was the daughter of a veterinary pioneer and shorthorn farmer. Starting at a young age, she has lived a life of luxury in a gorgeous home with plenty of helpers. One of her favorite stories to hear from the help revolved around Zulu folklore. She especially loved hearing about the sky gods. From a young age, Klarer always believed she could see unusual things and had otherworldly experiences. She recalls once seeing a UFO when she was only 7. According to her, she saw a bright disk while outside her home feeding their puppies. And it wasn't just her, but her sister who was there too. Several months later, she again witnessed another unidentified flying craft. This time, she was accompanied by their farm manager, who interpreted their sighting as part of Zulu lore. Eventually, Klarer left home and lived in Italy for some time for school. She had taken up music and the arts, and after this, she took up meteorology at Girton College in Cambridge. While there, she met her first husband, and he would later teach her how to fly a small plane. It wasn't until 1937 when she mentioned having an unusual UFO sighting once again. She was flying inside a light craft when she, together with her husband and another person, saw a saucer-shaped object fly alongside their plane. They saw the object approach them, coast along with them a little bit before it left. Eventually, Klarer returned to Africa. Now with children, she headed from Johannesburg to her sister's farm in White Leaf in 1954, and it was here she would experience one of her most famous UFO encounters. It happened on December 27th. Klarer remembers climbing a hill, later known as Flying Saucer Hill, and while there, witnessed an unusual craft come down from the sky. It hovered several meters above the ground and was softly humming. From one of the portholes, she could see a figure standing inside. She could tell that the craft was emanating some heat, and shortly after it showed up, it flew away. More than a year later, reports of a lightning bird were seen on the same hilltop. When Klarer once again headed to the area on April 7, 1956, she finally met the strange alien figure she once saw inside the ship. He introduced himself as Akon. He then took Klarer inside the spacecraft and showed her around. Klarer described the interior of the ship as 60 feet in diameter. There was another pilot inside who was said to be an astrophysicist and botanist. Shortly after, the craft flew away and within minutes reached the large mothership. Klarer, who went along with them, described the mothership as having garden-like interiors. She met and interacted with the inhabitants of the ship, and while there, Akon revealed to her that she was a former Venusian. The two exchanged kisses, and Akon declared that she was his soulmate. He told her it was common for their race to take women from Earth and mate with them so their children could strengthen the bloodline. He added there were also Venusians who lived on Earth anonymously. After all these revelations, Klarer was returned on the hilltop. Curiously, several witnesses actually reported seeing a glowing object on that hill for several hours around the time Klarer said she met the Venusian Akon. In 1958, Klarer and Akon would begin seeing each other more frequently, sometimes spending the entire day together. At one point, he gave her a silver ring, which he said helped connect them telepathically. Soon after, the two consummated their relationship, and she became pregnant. The following year, while she was in her vehicle, she was transported onto Akon's planet Maton, where she delivered her extraterrestrial child. She named this child Ailing. He decided to stay behind in Meton as Klarer went home. She said she's unable to go back to Meton because the vibrations on the planet caused her heart problems. However, she said her son, Ailing and Akon, visit her on Earth instead. There were many skeptics, as well as believers, of Klarer's unique love story. Several prominent ufologists at the time believed her wholeheartedly, while others ridiculed her claims of giving birth and having an alien lover, but for Klarer, she stood by her claims. In 1980, she published her book Beyond the Light Barrier, chronicling her encounters. She tried writing a follow-up book, but never finished it before her death in 1994. Up until her dying breath, she claimed her story was true, saying the encounters absolutely happened. Number 2. Derrick Engebreston. It was supposed to be an ordinary day for Derrick Engebreston. Together with his father and grandfather, the trio left their home in Klamath Falls, Oregon on December 5, 1988 to head to Rocky Point, close to the Winema National Forest. They were hoping to find a Christmas tree to decorate their living room. It was a family tradition of sorts. Derrick, at 8 years old, was already comfortable in the mountains since he often accompanied his parents while exploring the forest. His family even gave him the nickname Bear Boy. As the three reached the woods, they headed towards a densely populated area to look for a potential tree. His grandfather went one way, his father the other. When the two returned to the same spot about an hour later, both were shocked to realize that Derrick was gone. They both thought that the boy had accompanied the other. The two men immediately looked for Derrick. His grandfather, who was an expert tracker, tried to retrace Derrick's steps starting from their pickup truck. They found that the steps went up on a hill, then looped back around. They saw signs the young boy was in the general area when they found cuts on the trees since Derrick had a small hatchet with him. When he looped back around, it's believed that Derrick made a snow angel on the road. But all traces of him were wiped out after this because a snowplow had passed through. It took 2 hours before police got to the area and for the search to begin full scale. However, despite the search and rescue, the area was dense and the mountain had become dark. For the next several days and weeks, his family camped out in the area hoping to find him. The rescue efforts were hampered because of bad weather and sub-zero temperatures. After 8 days, the police stopped their search, announcing the boy likely succumbed from the harsh temperatures. The volunteers and his family continued with the search. They found small signs that he may have been alive at some point. They found a candy wrapper, some type of small shelter, and even a bookmark recognized to be from Derrick's school. Despite this, though, there was no sign of the boy, and eventually the search stopped. Derrick's family never fully recovered from the loss. His parents continued to devote everything they had in looking for him, and this included spending every spare moment on that mountain. They also spent it on psychics and search boats. His family eventually went bankrupt, but they never gave up hope. Derrick's case went cold for years, but in 2002, a prison inmate said he had information for the family. He pointed out that convicted rapist and murderer Frank Milligan was involved. Milligan was already serving 36 years for raping and abducting a young boy. A witness had said he saw a man having trouble with a boy in the area where Derrick disappeared. He ignored the struggle, though, thinking they were father and son. However, even though he's a potential suspect, there's been no physical evidence linking Frank Milligan to Derrick's disappearance, and so today, it still remains a mystery. So there were two of the most out-of-this-world and scary stories around. The world can be a crazy place, and Twisted Twos is sure to show you why. If you like this video, then please remember to subscribe to our channel and consider supporting us on Patreon. We have new videos coming out every Wednesday and Saturday for you to check out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.